Morning, morning. Happy Tuesday. How we doing? Oh, I'm going to work on a couple of hip things. A couple things to do to rotate the hips, move the hip joints, things to help us squat a little bit lower, get down a little bit lower, which we all should be able to do, and we should do more. But first, let's do our spinal stretches, okay? I pulled up my bench here. So for those of you who are sitting on a chair, a couch, or whatever, you can just stay right there and we will get our spinal stretches done. So first and foremost, let's close our eyes and start to take really big, deep breaths in through the nose. Drop your chin a little bit and exhale out your mouth for as long as you can. And let's just follow that breath, okay? Follow it in. Hold it into your lungs a few seconds. Big open mouth exhales. We're following our breath. We're focusing on our breath. And then we're going to roll those shoulders back a couple of times. One arm down, one arm comes up. We're going to lengthen through the side body and do that lateral spinal stretch to the side. If you have a tight neck, might be a good place to just kind of look up and down a few times. And then we'll take that hand down and raise the other one. Create that length first and then go to the other side. And then we'll bring that hand down. All right, let's do our twists each direction. So first, lengthen up your spine nice and long. Open up one way. Put that hand right behind your hip behind you so that you can use it to lengthen your spine a little bit more. Reach those arms up, come back to your center. Lengthen up again. And then go the other direction for that twist. Bring those arms up, turn back to your center, and come on back down. All right, we need to do our spinal extension, which is our arch in our back. I'll turn the other way so you can see what we need to do. Roll those shoulders back. Put your hands behind you. Maybe your hands go forward, maybe they go backwards, kind of based on your preference and how it feels. We're going to send our heart up and pull the shoulders back. And release that and come on back to the center. So now for our spinal flexion, which is lengthening the spine. If you're sitting down, you can just kind of lean over. If you want to come up to your feet, then maybe lean over. I always like a rag doll. Pushing through the heels, kind of grabbing opposite triceps and just bouncing so you get more length in your spine. You're also stretching your hips and your legs a little bit. Let your head just fall so you're getting that length through your entire spine. Nice. We'll release that. Okay. All right. We have done our 6 spinal stretches. So if you're sitting here, let's start to think about the hips. Again, you can sit on a chair. You can come down to a mat if you have it. Seated figure 4 stretch. Just starting to kind of open up that hip joint. Going to lengthen forward. let's switch our sides. Bring that other foot up. Kind of hang out here. I'm pulsing my knee to get a little bit more stretch on the inside and the outside. Then I'm going to send that chest forward for a more overall hip stretch. Good sciatica stretch if you have sciatica issues. All right, so I'm going to get rid of this bench because what I do next, I'm going to need to be on the floor. So let's talk about hips and hip rotations, why they're important. We're going to take a nice wide stance and just kind of start going side to side. Think of your hip joints as a door hinge, right? The more you use them, the more you open them, the more you rotate them, the better they are going to work. So doing hip mobility exercises, doing hip openers, which we do a lot in yoga, are very, very important. I'm going to come back to the center, and then I'm just going to sit down and kind of like a plie, squatting up and down. Couple things to think about here is you want your spine to be nice and long. You don't want to be leaning over. Maybe think about tucking your tailbone, pulling in your core muscles, just squatting down a few times. All right, so now let's think about those ankles a little bit, because in order to do lunges, big lunges like skandasanas or those big horse pose or goddess pose, we really need to have good ankle mobility too. So we're going to go back and forth, and then I'm going to go to one side and I'm going to take my hands down. Now I'm going to come down low because I can come down low. Okay, some of you may still be up here, and that's fine. I want you to keep pressing down on this hip, and I want you to lean forward and come up to your toes and push back. Okay, we're pressing forward and we're pressing back. Okay, I'm going to try to get a little lower. We're going to go forward, bringing the heel up and pressing back. Forward and pressing back. I'm going to do that a couple more times. Now, the other thing I'm going to do, okay, we just worked on our ankle down here. Now we're going to work on this hip joint over here in the open leg. We're going to rotate the toes forward and then rotate them up. Forward and up. Okay, a couple more times. All right, so we're going to go to the other side. I'm going to come on up here. Come back a little higher, and again, just go as low as you can go. If you're right here in this higher lunge, this is fine. If you can come down lower, drop your hands. Try to come down more into a skandasana. And then wherever you are, take your hands forward, and we're going to rock forward and back. Coming up to the toes, pushing back on the heel. I'll do that one more time. Hi, Gigi. You say hi. And then I'm going to focus on this, excuse me, hip rotation of this leg extended. So we want those toes to come up, and then we want them to go forward. Up, forward. Do that a few more times. Nice. All right. So I'm going to come back up. All right, we worked on ankle mobility, which is very important to do your lunges and your squats, and also rotating those hips. So let's talk about half pigeon. So half pigeon, I'm going to come down to seated. Let me turn around this way a little bit. I'm going to go to bound ankle. So in yoga we do a lot of half pigeons. I probably do a half pigeon almost every class. Most of the time we concentrate on being in half pigeon, which is a restorative pose. We're in that hip opener. We're getting a very, very deep stretch. Not just the hips, but the legs, even the spine. It's a great pose to just sit and be still and let your body just kind of be in that pose. But one of the best parts of your half pigeon is the actual hip rotation, the opening and the closing of the hip, getting into it. So let's do that. So when we take that foot back, what are we doing here? We're opening, we're rotating, we're closing, we're coming up onto the hip. So that actual movement is very, very good for your hip joint. So sometimes if you're really tight and you just feel like you need to work on more hip mobility, it might be a good thing just to do this a few times before you come up to that half pigeon. And then come down to your resting pigeon. And this is where we stay and just take some time to be here in this pose, in this hip opener. That front knee should be out to the left as much as possible, but that can be hard. So maybe coming up on top of the knee is better for you. You just want to watch your hips, make sure your hips are centered and going forward before you come into that resting pigeon. So let's do the other side. We're going to bring the foot back and we'll work on that other side. So let's open that hip, close, rotate, come up onto the top of the leg, and then we'll lean around and bring it back. We'll do that a couple more times. Okay, now we're just going to be here. Okay, we're making sure we're on the top of that leg. We're not leaning on either side. This means our spine is straight, our spine is centered, our hips are centered. Get that knee where you can, as far out to the right as you can, but make sure your spine is straight. Make sure your hips are centered. And then we'll go down to that resting pigeon and just be here a few breaths. All right, let's come on up. So, do you have trouble getting low, getting into squats, going down low, coming off the ground when you're sitting on the ground, getting into those big lunges side to side? Can you not go into skandasana, which is all the way down? One of the tips that I have for you is to do your windshield wipers. Okay, so back on the floor, keep your shoulders nice and flat, and we're just going to do those big windshield wipers back and forth. And that's doing the closing, the rotating, the opening of the hips on each side. This is an excellent, excellent hip mobility move to do to keep your hips working properly, which is super duper important, especially as we get older. All right, let's finish around. So if that half pigeon is hard for you, maybe try your figure 4 down here on the ground. We also did that sitting, so you could do that either way. Again, sciatica, IT band, stretch, hip stretch. I'm going to do the other side real quick. Why do you want to stretch those things? They need to be stretched. You're gonna have low back pain if you don't stretch all those muscles in your legs, your quads, your hamstrings, your IT band on the sides of your leg, your sciatica. Can cause knee pain, hip pain, low back pain. That's why we got to stretch. Yay! All right, so that was hip mobility, something for you all to work on. Let me know if you have questions, if there is anything I can do. If any of you have anything going on, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Okay, send me a message on Facebook. I'm more than happy to help anyone. Okay, everybody have a wonderful Tuesday. I'll see you guys soon. Namaste.